The night of prom had finally arrived, and I was ready. The dress, the makeup, the excitement in the air, it all felt like a dream. But now, looking around at the sea of glittering faces, I felt something else too. Something darker. A strange electric charge buzzed in the air. It wasn't just the music or the lights. It was something more. Something I couldn't place. I didn't know what it was at first. Maybe I was just being paranoid. After all, prom was supposed to be the best night of my life. But then, I saw him. Standing in the corner, his gaze locked on me. He was a face I recognized but hadn't seen in a while. Darren Matthews. Quiet, unassuming. He'd always been a loner at school, always lingering at the edges, and I hadn't thought twice about him in months. Yet tonight, his eyes didn't just linger, they studied me. I felt a cold shiver crawl down my spine. I shook it off. This was prom. I shouldn't let anything ruin it. I danced for a while, lost in the crowd, but that feeling kept creeping in. Every time I glanced over, I couldn't escape the sensation of being watched. My heart beat a little faster with each moment, and then it happened. The lights flickered, the music stuttered, then cut out completely, plunging the gymnasium into a tense silence. Everyone murmured in confusion. My pulse quickened. The darkness wasn't comforting, it felt suffocating. I searched the room for a source of the problem, but before I could react, the lights flickered back on. In the middle of the dance floor, a body. Not just anyone. It was Carla, one of the most popular girls in school. She was crumpled on the floor, her eyes wide and vacant, blood pooling around her. It wasn't just her beauty that made the scene grotesque. It was the way her life had been ripped from her so easily. Screams erupted around the room, chaos unfolding in seconds. People ran, bumped into each other, tripped. I felt like I couldn't move, frozen in place, staring at the gruesome sight. Then, from the shadows near the door, I saw Darren again. He wasn't running. He wasn't reacting like the others. No. He was smiling. It was a smile of satisfaction. One that chilled me to my very bones. That's when I knew it. It wasn't just paranoia. Something was wrong. He was the killer. Panic set in as people scrambled to find exits. I didn't think, didn't process, just ran. I pushed my way through the crowd, my breath shallow, my vision blurry. I needed to get out, needed to get somewhere safe. But as I sprinted down the hallway, I collided with something cold and hard. I looked up. It was Darren. He hadn't just been following me. He'd been waiting for me. His dark eyes gleamed with twisted delight as he stepped closer. "You shouldn't have run," he said softly. The words sent a sickening ripple through my body. I stumbled back, but there was no one around to hear me. I was alone with him. No one could save me. "You know, prom is all about promises," he continued, his voice low, almost amused. "A night you'll never forget, right? Well, I'm about to make sure you never forget this one." I backed away, my heart pounding in my chest, but then I felt it. The cold touch of something sharp against my neck. His knife. It was then I realized the truth. I wasn't just the next victim. I was the last. Prom night. The culmination of everything I had dreamed of throughout high school. I had spent months planning every detail, from the dress to the perfect updo and even the perfect date, Blake. But as the clock ticked closer to the big moment, something felt off. The gymnasium at Crestwood High had been transformed into a glittering ballroom, all sparkles and fairy lights. The music was bumping, the crowd was buzzing with excitement. and everything seemed perfect. Until it didn't. The whisper started around 9:30 p.m. First, it was just a few hushed conversations near the punch bowl. Then it spread like wildfire. I overheard some girls in the bathroom talking about it, their faces pale. The local news had just reported that a dangerous killer had escaped from a nearby prison. A man named Victor Grayson, convicted of a string of brutal murders that had shocked the town 5 years ago. I tried to push the thought out of my mind, but the uneasy feeling lingered. I watched as the students around me continued to dance, laugh, oblivious to the horror that was unfolding just outside the doors. But then, as I looked out the gym windows, I saw something. A figure in the shadows, tall, dark, moving with an unnatural quietness. I shook my head. It was probably just someone dressed in black, but the thought gnawed at me. I had heard the stories about Grayson, the way he stalked his victims, the way he would corner them in the dark. It was almost as if he enjoyed the fear, the power. The lights flickered once, twice. I saw some students glance nervously toward the ceiling. Then the music stopped. Silence. A cold draft swept through the gym, and for a moment everything seemed to freeze. Then a voice came over the loudspeaker, calm, measured, and chilling.
Attention, everyone. This is a warning. You are not safe.
The words sent a shiver down my spine. I looked around trying to find the source of the voice, but no one seemed to know where it came from. Then, without warning, the doors to the gym burst open, and a figure stepped in. His eyes gleamed with a feral hunger. The room gasped. Some students screamed, and chaos erupted. It was him, Victor Grayson. His clothes were ragged, his skin pale, and his eyes, those cold, dead eyes, were unmistakable. He moved quickly, his boots echoing through the gym, and before anyone could react, he grabbed a girl by the arm and dragged her into the shadows. I heard her scream, but it was swallowed by the noise of panic that erupted around me. I stood frozen, my heart pounding in my chest. I looked for Blake, my date, my best friend, but he was nowhere to be seen. I tried to move to do something, anything, but my feet felt like they were glued to the floor. Grayson's laughter echoed from the hallway. Who's next? Who wants to join her? I snapped out of my trance and turned to run. I grabbed my phone, dialing Blake's number, but it went straight to voicemail. Panic set in. I had to find him. I couldn't lose him. Not like this. I bolted out the back door to the gym, hoping to find some kind of an escape. But I wasn't alone. The figure was there, waiting for me. Victor Grayson was standing in front of me. You thought you could get away. I didn't know what to do. I was trapped. He took a step forward, raising a gleaming knife in his hand. Prom night is a night to remember. And then I heard it. A loud crash from behind me. Run! Jake's voice. He tackled Grayson with a force I didn't know he had. For a brief moment, Grayson was distracted, his attention diverted as Jake wrestled with him. I didn't wait to see who would win. I turned and ran. My heart in my throat as the sound of the struggle behind me grew louder. I reached the edge of the school grounds and kept running, not daring to look back. I didn't stop until I found a group of students huddled near a streetlight. I collapsed to the ground, gasping for air, my body shaking uncontrollably. I didn't know if Jake made it out. I didn't know if anyone would. The night that was supposed to be the happiest of our lives had turned into a nightmare. And in that moment, I realized something. There was no escaping the horror. Not on prom night. Not with him on the loose. I'm not writing this for forgiveness. No. Forgiveness isn't even an option. I'm writing this because the truth rots inside of me. It's been eating away at me for years, chewing through my nerves, scraping its teeth against the wall of my skull. If I don't let it out now, before this Halloween, I think it's going to finish me from the inside. But there's something you need to understand before I begin. I don't kill because I want to. I kill because I have to. And I only do it on Halloween. I was 8 years old the first time I saw them. It was Halloween night, 1997. The air smelled like cold dirt and smoke from somewhere far away. The wind kept dragging leaves across the cracked pavement. And every now and then, one would scrape against the ground just enough to make me flinch. That was the first year trick-or-treating alone. My parents finally gave in, but they gave me the usual warnings. Stick to the neighborhood, no dark alleys, be home by 9. It was the first time I felt real freedom. My pillowcase was heavy with candy. My hands were sticky from caramel. My cheeks were cold under my mask. I should have gone home when I reached the corner of Walnut Street. The rest of the houses on my list were behind me. But there it was at the end of the road, a place the older kids knew. A place the older kids always dared each other to visit. The old house. Everyone said it was abandoned. The porch sagged under its own weight. The shutters hung at crooked angles, rattling softly in the wind. The windows were covered, not boarded, not curtained, but sealed with thick black trash bags duct taped to the frames. There was one thing on the porch, a pumpkin. Its grin was carved wide, the teeth jagged and uneven, like someone had taken a knife to it in a hurry. I remember thinking, if no one lives here, who put that out? But I was a kid, and candy is a powerful motivator. I climbed the steps and knocked. The door creaked open on its own. The air that drifted out smelled wrong, like wet soil, like something sweet that had gone bad. That's when I saw him. Tall and thin, wearing a black suit so black it seemed to drink the porch light. His mask, if it was a mask, was the color of old bone. The eyes were just deep, empty holes. He didn't speak. He just stepped aside, tilting his head, motioning for me to come in. I should have run. I wanted to run, but I stepped forward. The floor inside was soft under my toes, like the wood was rotting. Somewhere deeper in the house, I heard a faint scratching. He handed me something wrapped in wax paper. I thought it was candy, but when I got home and unwrapped it, it wasn't candy. It was a human tooth. I tried to tell my parents. They didn't believe me. They laughed it off, said it was just a Halloween prank. But that night, I woke up to the sound. I sat up in bed, heart pounding. The tapping was coming from my bedroom window. He was standing there, same black suit, same bone white face. Only now, he was holding a carving knife. He didn't try to get in. He just tapped the glass and tilted his head with those same small, unnatural jerks, like he was listening to something I couldn't hear. And then he mouthed the words, every year. The next Halloween I stayed inside, locked my door, closed the blinds. But that night, just after midnight, my parents woke up screaming. Our neighbor, Mrs. Hayworth, had been found in her kitchen, murdered, carved like a jack-o'-lantern. The police said there were no fingerprints, no signs of forced entry, but there was only one thing they found on her porch, a tooth wrapped in wax paper. The third Halloween, I felt it for the first time. It started as pressure in my skull, like someone was pushing their thumbs into my temples from the inside. Then came the whisper. It wasn't in English, not at first. Just low, wet syllables curling through my thoughts like smoke. I saw things, faces I didn't know, streets I'd never walked, blood running across hardwood floors. And then I saw the knife in my hand. It was my hand. When I came to, I was standing in the middle of Maple Street, blood up to my elbows. A man was lying at my feet. His eyes were open, but they were empty. In his mouth was a tooth wrapped in wax paper. From that year on, it never stopped. Every October, the pressure builds. The whispers grow louder. My hands ache for the weight of the knife. By midnight on Halloween, my body isn't mine anymore. It's him. I've tried to fight it. One year, I trained myself in my basement. No phone, no lights. I thought maybe if I made it to November without spilling blood, it would end. When I woke up, the chains were broken. My feet were wet with mud, and on the basement floor in front of me was a fresh tooth wrapped in wax paper. Upstairs, I could hear the muffled sound of screaming. Another time I fled town. I thought if I was far enough away, he couldn't find me. But I woke up in the driver's seat of my car parked outside some stranger's house. The knife was warm in my hand. The back seat was full of teeth. The kills aren't so fast. That's the part that haunts me. Whoever or whatever he is, he doesn't just kill, he carves. Every slice is deliberate, measured, like he's shaping something. One year, I watched from the inside of my own eyes as he cut the skin from a man's cheek, peeling it back until the mouth stretched too wide, making the face matching the pumpkin grin from that first year. Another year, it was a little girl, her face pale in the dark, her candy bucket still in her hand. He set the bucket aside before working on her throat. I remember the whisper in my head wasn't in some strange language that night. It was in English. It said, "You take care of the little ones first." Why am I writing this now? Well, tonight it's happening again. The pressure is unbearable. The whisper isn't whispering anymore. It's shouting. And I know where I'm going. I can see the street, the porch light, the pumpkin by the door. It's yours. If you're reading this before I get there, lock your doors. Don't answer after midnight. And if you see a tooth wrapped in wax paper, it's already too late. If you're listening to this, it's because I finally accepted something I spent years denying. I'm not unlucky. I'm not cursed. I'm not a victim of circumstance. I'm a murderer. Not because I enjoy blood. Not because I hate people. I kill because business is good. Or at least it was. You probably think that's the worst sentence in this confession. Keep listening. You'll change your mind. I started Ashwood Construction about 15 years ago with one pickup truck, a trailer full of borrowed tools, and enough determination to outwork anyone around me. For a while, life was exactly what I dreamed of. Kitchen remodels, bathroom renovations, decks, roof replacements, eventually complete home flips. I hired employees, bought equipment, had contracts booked months in advance. Then everything changed. Material prices exploded. Interest rates climbed. Clients canceled projects halfway through. People stopped remodeling. When people are deciding between groceries and granite countertops, granite loses. Every month I watch my savings disappear. Then payroll, then equipment, and then my marriage. My wife packed everything one afternoon while I was finishing drywall. And she simply just told me, "I don't think you're coming back from whatever this is." She was right. The first neighborhood changed everything. Old homes, peeling paint, a broken fence, and overgrown lawns. Exactly the kind of properties investors ignored because the numbers barely worked. I drove through looking for opportunities, and then I saw him. An old man, maybe in his 70s, living alone. His house was practically collapsing around him. Yet the tax records show he owned it for 40 years. No children, no spouse, no listed relatives. I remember thinking, if that house ever hits the market, it would be the perfect flip. I hate that I remember my first thought. It wasn't, "I hope he's okay." It wasn't, "someone should help him." It was, "That's $200,000 waiting to happen." passed. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I drove by every day, sometimes twice, watching, learning routines. He walked the same route every Tuesday evening. Bought groceries, returned before dark, always alone. One Tuesday I followed. I told myself I wasn't going to do anything. Just imagine. When he cut through a wooded trail behind the neighborhood, I realized nobody was there. I don't remember making the decision. 1 second I was walking. The next, he wasn't breathing anymore. I expected panic. I expected guilt. Instead, I felt relief, like debt had finally been paid. Police called it a robbery gone wrong. The house eventually went into probate. Months later, auction. I bought it cheap, did the work myself. A new roof, new plumbing, fresh paint, landscaping. Sold it in 6 weeks. Profit, $120,000. My company survived another year. That should have been enough. Just one time, one mistake, one terrible decision. Instead, I found myself driving neighborhoods differently. Not looking at houses, looking at owners who lived alone, who had no family, who walked every evening, who wouldn't immediately be missed. That's the part that keeps me awake. How quickly people stopped looking like neighbors. They became paperwork, potential investments. You know what's funny? Television makes serial killers look impulsive, driven by rage, messy. Real life is quieter. I carried measuring tape, a clipboard, work boots, and a safety vest. If anybody asked why I was photographing a house, I'd tell them I'd been hired to provide an estimate. Nobody questioned me. Construction workers are invisible. We belong everywhere. Eventually, I became patient. Sometimes I'd wait 6 months, sometimes a year, watching, learning, making sure the timing worked. A fatal fall, a disappearance, an accident. Every neighborhood already had places where terrible things could happen. All I had to do was arrive first. The houses always came later. Insurance, estates, foreclosures, tax sales, auction websites. Sometimes investors outbid me. That always made me angry. They celebrated profits, never realizing someone else had paid a much higher price. People always ask why neighborhoods decline. They blame drugs, crime, or politics. They're missing something. Sometimes a neighborhood dies because someone like me quietly harvests it. One abandoned home becomes beautiful, then another, and another. Local newspapers call it renewal. Families admire restored houses. Children ride bikes down freshly paved driveways. Nobody asks why so many previous owners vanished. I developed rules throughout this process. Never any children and never couples. Never anyone whose disappearance would immediately trigger national news. I convinced myself rules made me different, less monstrous. It's amazing what the human mind can justify when money is involved. Last year, a detective visited one of my job sites. He said they noticed something unusual. My company had renovated an incredible number of homes connected to sudden owner deaths. He laughed while saying it, thought it was a coincidence. He even complimented my craftsmanship. Then he left. I stood in the empty kitchen for nearly an hour listening to my own heartbeat, wondering if I finally made a mistake, because coincidences happen, and if coincidences become invisible. I tried quitting, really. I sold equipment, reduced my workload, took smaller jobs, promised myself no more. Then payroll came due, taxes, insurance, unexpected repairs. One bad month became another. I drove through an old neighborhood just to clear my head. That's what I told myself. Then I saw another house, collapsed garage, broken shutters, one elderly owner mowing the lawn alone. The math started automatically. Purchase price, renovation costs, expected resale value. profit margin. The calculations appeared in my mind before I even realized I was doing them. Some addictions start with a needle. Mine started with a spreadsheet. I don't remember their names anymore, only addresses. That's probably the saddest thing, I'll admit. The people disappeared long before the houses changed hands. Sometimes I drive past families eating dinner inside homes I renovated. Children's laugh, dogs bark, Christmas lights hang from roofs I rebuilt. Parents talk about finding their dream home. I wonder if they'd still love it if they knew who made that dream possible. Business has never been better. Awards, positive reviews, magazine features. I've donated to schools, sponsored youth sports, even helped rebuild homes after storms. Everyone sees generosity. Nobody sees the foundation beneath it. If you're listening still, you're probably wondering why I'm confessing now. Because I'm tired. Not of killing. That's the truth that disgusts me. I'm tired of pretending I'll stop. Every time I finish another renovation, I tell myself, that's the last one. Then another worn-down neighborhood appears, another lonely homeowner, another property with potential, another opportunity, and the cycle starts again. Even now, as I finish reading this, my phone keeps vibrating. My foreman says we lost a huge commercial contract. 3 crews may have to be laid off. I should be panicking. Instead, I already know where I'm driving after sunset. There's an old neighborhood on the east side of town. I passed through it yesterday. One house caught my eye. The roof needs replacing. The porch is sinking. The owner lives alone. And if history has taught me anything, it's that some renovations begin long before demolition. If you ever buy a beautiful restored home and wonder why you got such a great deal, don't ask what was torn out. Ask who never got a chance to move out. When my friend Adam and I finally got our own place, it felt like something out of a dream. We'd been best friends since middle school, thick as thieves all through high school and college. So when we both landed jobs in the city, mine a pretty great position at a cybersecurity firm, it just made sense to move in together. We found a 2-bedroom apartment in this old building that had character, as the listing called it. Exposed brick, creaky hardwood floors, those big vintage windows that let in golden light in the evenings. It wasn't perfect, but it was ours, and that made it cool as hell. The first couple months were great. We'd get drinks on the weekends, cook massive meals we could barely finish, and stay up playing old games like we were still teenagers. Life was good. But then, little things started happening. I'd come home from work and my room would feel off. At first, I thought I was just tired. Long hours at the office will mess with your head. But I started noticing specific things. My laptop would be slightly shifted on my desk. A hoodie that I knew I tossed on the bed would be folded neatly over a chair. I asked Adam about it casually, and he just laughed. Said maybe I was turning into one of those guys who'd forget their own routine. But then he started suggesting I rearrange my room. Your bed would look way better on the other wall, man, he said one night while leaning on the doorframe. And that lamp's in a weird spot. You should move it. At first it seemed like friendly advice, but he kept bringing it up, again and again, like he needed me to change it. Like he was seeing it in his head a certain way and couldn't stand that it wasn't like that. I'd laugh it off. I didn't want to make things weird. I was in the dating scene at the time, nothing serious, just meeting people and having fun. Sometimes I'd bring them back to the apartment for the night. That's when Adam started acting different. He wouldn't say anything directly, but I'd catch a look, tight-lipped, eyes a little too cold. Once or twice I came out to find him sitting on the couch, staring at the door to my room. When I said goodnight, he didn't respond. I came home one night, and things were getting heated. I reached into my nightstand for a condom. I didn't notice anything until I unrolled it. There were holes. Tiny, deliberate ones. I checked another. Same thing. all of them compromised. A chill went through me. This wasn't a manufacturing defect. This was someone sabotaging me. I didn't say anything right away. I apologized and made up a story and got through the rest of the night. But when I was all alone, I sat on the edge of the bed for what felt like hours just staring at that drawer. I knew it was Adam. Who else had access? Who else knew where I kept them? The next morning, I packed up everything I could fit in my car and left without saying a word. I didn't confront him. I didn't even want to see his face. I didn't want to know what else he might have done. That was 6 months ago. I changed my number, moved across town, and I haven't heard from him since. A few months ago, my girlfriend and I moved into a decent little apartment just outside the city. Nothing special, but it was ours. Quiet, clean, and finally felt like a step into real adult life. Things were going great between us. We had our routines, shared groceries, split rent, and even started making plans for the future. Then my friend Chris hit me up. He and I had been close in college, partied together, crashed in the same dorm, the usual. He told me he had just lost his job and got kicked out of his place. Said he only needed a few weeks to get back on his feet, to find work and move on. I asked my girlfriend about it, and after a short talk, we agreed to let him stay in our spare bedroom. I mean, he was my friend, right? What's the worst that could happen? At first, things were fine. He was chill, helped around the apartment, and seemed grateful. But it didn't take long before I started noticing things. He kept making weird compliments to my girlfriend. Stuff like, "You're way too hot for this guy," or "If he ever messes up, you know where to find me." It was always said with a laugh, trying to pass off as a joke. I didn't like it, but I let it go. Chris was just being Chris. I figured he had no filter. But then came the showers. Almost every time he took one, he'd leave the bathroom door wide open. Not just cracked, wide open. Steam rolling into the hallways, water running, and Chris just walking around in there like it was his own personal locker room. At first I thought it was just carelessness, but then he started making it more obvious. Waiting until he knew my girlfriend was in the hallway or kitchen before stepping out of the bathroom completely naked, towel in hand, but never actually using it. He'd walk past us like it was no big deal. That's when I confronted him. I told him flat out it was disrespectful and that if he wanted to stay with us, he needed to put clothes on before leaving the damn bathroom. He apologized, said it was a bad habit from his last place, and promised to fix it. And for a few weeks he did. Then it got worse. He started talking to my girlfriend when I wasn't home, asking her personal questions, making subtle but disgusting comments like, "Don't you ever wonder what it would be like to be with someone more adventurous?" Stuff she didn't even want to tell me at first because she knew how angry I'd get. But the final straw? We caught him stealing her underwear. I had recently installed a few small security cameras around the apartment after a break-in scare in our building. Nothing crazy, just one in the hallway and the laundry area. I didn't even think to check them until one night my girlfriend told me some of her underwear had gone missing again. I went through the footage, and there he was, in the middle of the night, sneaking into the laundry basket, rifling through her clothes, and pocketing her underwear before slipping back into his room. The next morning, I didn't say anything at first. I waited until he left the apartment, grabbed his things, and tossed everything of his out onto the porch. When he came back, I confronted him with the footage. He tried denying it, saying he was just moving laundry around, but he knew the game was up. I told him to get out, right then, right there. He tried apologizing again, saying he was drunk and not thinking straight. I didn't care. I wasn't going to let some pervert live under the same roof as my girlfriend and pretend like it was okay. We haven't spoke to him since. I still don't understand how someone I once trusted could turn out like that. And honestly, it creeps me out to think how far it could have gone if we hadn't caught him when we did. Sometimes helping a friend isn't worth the risk.
The first grave I ever sold belonged to a little girl named Emily. At least, that's what I told her parents. Truth was, there was no grave, no cemetery, no peaceful hillside with marble angels overlooking rows of flowers. There wasn't even a patch of dirt reserved under her name. But grief makes people stupid, especially fresh grief. And I learned very early that people who just lost someone will buy anything if you package it just right. Forever Rest Memorial Gardens. That was the company name printed on my business cards. Gold lettering, cross in the corner, soft cream-colored cardstock, looked professional enough to fool the desperate. The scam was simple. I'd monitor obituaries in small towns, especially for sudden deaths. Car accidents, suicides, cancer. Dead children worked best. Then I'd show up at the family's door wearing a black suit and a sympathetic expression, and I'd tell them our cemetery specialized in private memorial preservation. Exclusive burial grounds untouched by commercial development. Lifetime maintenance, personalized headstones, tree-lined pathways. Most families never even asked to see the place. The ones who did usually backed down after I fed them some excuse about ongoing landscaping or county restrictions. By then, emotions had already done the work. People emptied inheritances for me, cashed out savings, sold jewelry. And afterward, I disappeared. New phone number, new town, different business cards. I told myself I wasn't hurting anybody. The dead didn't care where they were being buried. But after 12 years of ripping off grieving families, I started noticing something strange. Sometimes, I'd see them. The dead. Not clearly, not at first. Just glimpses. A little girl standing beside the highway at night. An old woman watching me through motel windows. A teenage boy with half his face caved in, sitting silently in the back seat of my car. I blamed exhaustion, guilt, too much whiskey. Still, every time I looked in the rearview mirror, I expected to see someone sitting behind me. That October night, rain hammered my windshield so hard I could barely see the road. I'd been driving through the back roads of Indiana for nearly 3 hours after another successful sale. An elderly widow this time. $70,000. Easy money. My GPS lost signal somewhere near a stretch of dead cornfields. No streetlights, no houses, just darkness and mud. Then I saw a farmhouse. It sat alone at the end of a gravel driveway, lit by a single porch light swaying in the wind. The place looked ancient. Rotting wood, sagging roof, rusted farm equipment scattered through the knee-high weeds. I almost kept driving. But my gas gauge hovered near empty, and the storm was getting worse, so I pulled in. The old man answered the door first. Tall, thin, gray beard hanging to his chest. His overalls were stained with dirt like he'd crawl out of a grave himself. Behind him stood a woman around the same age, holding an oil lantern. Neither of them smiled. "Car trouble?" the old man asked. "Just need to use a phone," I said. The woman's eyes drifted down to my suit. "You from the funeral home?" I hesitated. Then instinct kicked in. "Something like that." That's when the old man invited me inside. The farmhouse smelled wrong. Not bad exactly, just earthy, damp, like wet soil after a heavy rain. The walls were covered in old black and white photographs. Most showed funerals, open caskets, groups of mourners standing beside graves. I tried not to stare. The woman poured coffee while I spun my usual lies. I told them about Forever Rest Memorial Gardens, about our exclusive countryside plots for families wanting peace and privacy after death. The old man listened carefully. Then he said something that made my stomach tighten. "Our boy died last winter." I lowered my voice sympathetically. "I'm sorry to hear that." "Inheritance came through recently," the woman added quietly. "Insurance money, too." Bingo. I'd heard that sentence 100 times before. The old man leaned forward slowly. How much for a family plot? I almost smiled. Instead, I gave them my professional funeral voice. For eternal plots with maintenance included, usually around 50,000. The woman nodded thoughtfully. We'll take it. That easy. I could already picture the cash. But then the old man added, first, we'd like to see the land. I froze for half a second. Unfortunately, the grounds are... No, he interrupted calmly. We insist. The room went silent except for rain hitting the windows. I considered leaving right then, making an excuse, but desperation overrode caution. I needed gas money, needed another score before heading south. And honestly, old people are so easy to intimidate. So I nodded. Fine, tomorrow morning. The woman smiled for the first time. It looked unnatural on her face. Wonderful. They offered me their guest room for the night. I should have left. God, I should have left. The room upstairs had no lock. Rain tapped softly against the windows while the old farmhouse groaned around me. I couldn't sleep. Something about the place felt wrong. At around 2 a.m, I heard footsteps downstairs. Slow and heavy, then a scraping sound. Curiosity got the better of me. I crept into the hallway and looked over the railing. The old couple stood near a door besides the kitchen, the basement door. The old man unlocked it with a key hanging around his neck. They both disappeared downstairs carrying lanterns. A few seconds later, I heard metal dragging across concrete. I don't know why I followed him. Maybe instinct, maybe greed, maybe stupidity. The basement stairs creaked under my weight as I descended into darkness. The smell hit me first. Rotting dirt, wet decay, and something worse underneath. The basement was enormous, bigger than the house itself. Rows of shelves lined the walls covered with wallets, watches, shoes, and suitcases. But what caught my eye were the business cards. Hundreds of them. Funeral homes, insurance agents, investment brokers, salesmen. My chest tightened. Then I saw the graves. They'd been dug directly into the basement floor. At least 6 of them. Fresh dirt mounded beside open holes. One grave wasn't fully covered. A pale hand stuck out from the soil. I stumbled backward in horror. That's when the woman spoke behind me. You boys always think grieving people are weak. I spun around. The old couple stood at the bottom of the stairs blocking my exit. The old man held a shotgun. I tried laughing nervously. Listen, whatever misunderstanding this is, you sell fake graves, the woman hissed. Her voice had changed completely. Cold, trembling with rage. Our son kills himself after your kind took everything we had. My mouth went dry. Wasn't me. Maybe not you specifically, the old man said, but men like you. He pointed toward the half-buried corpse. That one sold fake life insurance. Another grave, Ponzi scheme. Another, fake charities. The woman stepped closer. We bury predators here. I bolted for the stairs. The shotgun blast exploded through the basement. Pain ripped through my legs, sending me crashing face first into the dirt. I screamed. The old man calmly reloaded while I crawled desperately towards the steps, leaving a trail of blood behind me. Then, something grabbed my wrist. At first, I thought it was the woman. But no, it came from the grave beside me. A gray, rotting hand erupted from the soil and wrapped around my arm. Then another, and another. Faces emerged beneath the dirt, decayed mouths opening silently with hollow eyes staring at me. I recognized some of them. The little girl. The old woman. The teenage boy from my rearview mirror. All of them clawing upward through the earth, waiting. Yet, old couple didn't even seem surprised. Almost like they'd seen this happen before. I shrieked and tore free, but more hands grabbed my suit, my ankles, my hair. The dead were pulling me down. The old man walked over slowly while I screamed for help. "No one's coming," he said. The woman leaned beside my ear and whispered, "Now you finally got your burial plot." The last thing I saw was dirt pouring over my face while cold hands dragged me deeper underground. And somewhere in the darkness beneath the farmhouse, I heard dozens of voices crying beside me. Not mourning, laughing. Because after 12 years of selling graves, I finally got one of my own.